And we are back for one more pregame here in the week. That's right, it's time to get ready for Beastcoast versus Mirage. And you know what? Like I said before the break, a lot of people would say, oh, this one's free. Mirage struggling a lot this stage. Unfortunately, they've got another player who's under the weather. They're playing from home, I believe. And, Beastcoast looking really good. They've got a 3-game win streak going. You'd expect them to win this one. But I feel like we were saying a lot of the same things last stage when Beastcoast was looking like a possible lock for a Charlotte major spot. And you know what? Mirage beat them.
I guess.
Mirage beat them then. And while I don't think that's going to happen today, if I was the one picking, if I was the one predicting, I would certainly pick Beastcoast. But you never know. There is that spoiler potential. That's kind of in the back of the Beastcoast player's mind, just a little bit. Just a little bit.
Maybe. I think.
Check the coin before he flips to make sure it's not the double head.
Yeah, right? I mean, we've got the Mirage favoritism again, probably coming through.
Yep, got both sides.
Okay.
Good.
This is the longest win streak in the NAL in Beastcoast versus the longest losing streak in Mirage. 3 games winning for Beastcoast, 6 games losing from Mirage. That stretches back to last stage, where they also lost their last game. So it's been a rough stage for Mirage for sure. Beastcoast and Mirage, they did play each other last stage, and Mirage did win. But this feels like a much stronger Beastcoast and a much weaker Mirage. And I do think while Mirage, when they get on LAN and they have their full roster, they do some stuff that looks good. I think, they look a lot better. When they've been playing at home, they have been really rough.
Yeah, but need I remind everybody that the last time Mirage and Beastcoast played, in spite of it being the crazy upset victory, that was where Mirage were playing with a sub and essentially told their players, look, go and do whatever you want. Play it like it's ranked, we don't care.
Yeah.
Now, I don't want to say that they're saying the exact same thing about this stage overall, but you don't really have that much left to fight for in this stage in the first place, other than this being a better environment than scrims. It's not just you're at home playing with no stakes. You actually do theoretically have something to gain here. Mirage has turned from the team that isn't expected to do anything to the one that could play spoiler that any other team in the North American League would be embarrassed if they lost to, given their recent play and the fact that they haven't been able to play on stage yet.
And now's the time to be trying things if you're Mirage. You absolutely want to see maybe some new operators on players, maybe some new maps. So whatever they bring today, I would love to see them try something brand new.
So their tail of the tape is 0-0-5, 10th place in the league, 10th worst or 10th best, aka the worst in attack, and 10th best, aka the worst in defense. You literally could not handcraft a worse tail of the tape there for Mirage.
Yeah.
Did we have to do them like that?
Yes.
We gotta call them like we see them. It's our job. We have to be impartial. We can't play favorites. We bring guests on who can play favorites once in a while, but we can't play favorites,
I really want to play favorites.
It's tough for Mirage because, and what you mentioned, Jacob, what you alluded to, I think is going to become a factor here, right? Where when a team reaches the status that Mirage reaches, you get to the point where teams will actually prep a little bit more for them because, like you're kind of saying, you don't want to be the first team to lose to them at that point.
Right.
There is sort of that sort of reputation factor with the other teams in the rest of the league. So you see this, and I've seen this in other games, where when a team starts losing that much, teams start prepping more against them because they don't want to be the first ones to give them a win.
Nobody wanted to be the Cleveland Browns the year they went 0-16 and didn't win a single game. Like,
there you go.
If for some reason that happens for this Mirage team, or for anybody against Mirage, it would be a massive disappointment, considering most of the teams that are above them have had to beat considerably better teams to get to the point where they have more points in the first place. So if you lose to a team like Mirage, who aren't showing anything more substantial than maybe a solid effort here or there, or capitalizing when some teams don't care, a la OXG, there's not much to speak of about this OXG team that really inspires confidence. I think internally the changes they've made by who is playing on what role has been a nice thing to see, but whether it's in the analytics department or coaching, or somehow you could still make more roster moves on this team, there are still too many unanswered questions, and 5 games in, that's enough for them to simply not make it to a major or even think about anything except for stage 3 several months down the road.
Sure.
It's been a rough stage for Mirage, of course, having to play with a couple of players that are sick, having to play with their coach stepping in, having to play from home. That's their current situation. But I think bad luck is not the only thing they've been suffering from. I think bad droning has been a big problem as well. We've seen that a lot, and I think it was most clearly highlighted by Laxing yesterday with that rat play. It wasn't even a rat play, really. He was just in a corner that wasn't very rat-like in Bakery, and he got 3 kills off of that, 2 off of the missed drone, and the third later in the round. Mirage have definitely been struggling with that. I think that's been the biggest thing that we've talked about on the desk when it comes to Mirage and the struggles they've been facing. You know, maybe that's something they can work on here. Maybe if they can really like sit down to a game like this and say, okay, regardless of winning, we just need to focus in on this one thing that we can try to improve upon. I think they could potentially get some value out of that.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I was going to say just really quick, I think it's really important that the Mirage team starts setting reasonable goals for themselves so they can see that improvement.
I mean, the thing is, we have seen little sparks of genius, I think, from individual players on Mirage. And so, again, it's just a matter of down the road, can those be improved? Can those be also turned into team performances? We'll see what they can do today against their opponents, Beastcoast. As you mentioned earlier, Beastcoast on the longest win streak in the NAL right now at 3 wins in a row. This is a team that is resurgent to the max. They started out a little bit rough in stage 2, but they are really making a solid run towards the major, and another 3 points from a win over Mirage would be just what the doctor ordered.
I loved how mobile Beastcoast were on their defenses yesterday when they played in their match against Parabellum. That was a game that started off very, very rough for them. They started off losing round after round after round. Gunnar was trampling over Beastcoast, but once they got him under control, Beastcoast were able to thrive. And luckily for Beastcoast, Gunnar does not play for Mirage, so there should be no threat of him taking any individual moments off of them. And to be totally honest, I don't think there is a player on Mirage that kind of has that same star power, that really has the capability to take Beastcoast down like what we saw in those first couple of rounds from Gunnar. So I think for Beastcoast, they've got the longest win streak. It's likely that they'll keep it here today, but as Oxygen showed us for their first 3 rounds against Mirage, it's not, they've still got to show their opponents respect.
Is this the first time that Beastcoast is playing from home this stage?
Yes, it is.
I believe it is, yeah.
So that could affect their mental going into this.
That's true.
Yeah.
You know, I gotta say, the Beastcoast house, and I know they've got the stream on. I saw someone have the stream on the background. It looks a little bit Spartan. I think it could use a little bit of something for the walls. You know, maybe some posters that say like aggression, courage.
Exactly.
You know, something to hype it up. You know,
Yeah.
put some operator posters up there or something. You know, or maybe have the players draw little pictures on their whiteboards up there. You know, we gotta have something, right?
There's literally nothing in that room but 5
Might as well have no
chairs.
distractions
spruce it
when
up
you're
a bit.
swimming, I guess. But
They have little whiteboards, I guess, so they can draw like pictures, they can do their own art. Like,
I know they're
says
listening to us right now.
I think it says take on the top.
one of them says kitten somewhere. I just know it.
I want to see some pleasant posters, maybe some flowers around the room when we get back, like brighten up the mood a little bit. But let's find out what the setting is that the game will happen in. The map bans are in. We'll see where we're going.
As we talked about stage 1, these 2 teams went to Border. This time they're going to ban Cafe Chalet to start things off. Cafe, a map that Beastcoast played a lot in stage 3 last year with their other roster. Didn't end up winning it too often, but clearly they're going to ban it out. They haven't played it at all this stage with their current lineup. Border and Bank both going to be taken off of the board. Border, that map that they played against one another back in stage 1. 7-4 win for Mirage. Beastcoast do not want a repeat of that, which does make sense that they want to take that off of the board. That's one of the few maps that Mirage have been able to win throughout their history in the NAL this year. Theme Park and Oregon, then next, both going to be taken off the board. Theme Park for Beastcoast, 3-game losing streak and have yet to win it ever. I'm glad we're not going to see Beastcoast play it. They're not auctioned. They don't like to go here. And Mirage is actually one of the few maps that they were also able to win. 7-5 game over TSM last stage.
I don't really know what else you do here at this point if you're Mirage. I'd still say take a map that you haven't played before. I do agree with Joe's point that if you find a battleground that you have yet to test your mettle against, especially given the weaknesses that you've shown so far, that will make this interesting.
There
and
it is.
I do like
Second one on the stage.
I really, really like this because as far as Mirage is concerned, they've already played Villa once in this stage. That was obviously the first game that Melted, I think, was unable to play, or one of the first times they were playing from home and they got slapped over the head by Xset. And so you don't do that. You don't do Clubhouse. We see Sky. Beastcoast have played this once since its reintroduction to the map pool with this team, and they slaughtered TSM. I would argue that's a TSM that wasn't even playing at 50%, maybe like a 30% effort TSM team there, but we haven't seen Mirage play this ever, so it will still be relatively new for both squads.
I like this because Skyscraper just hasn't seen a whole lot of play in North America, so being able to go to this map, you get a clean rep on the map against a team that wants to go here, obviously, so you get very good experience. I expect this to be still very attacker favored, which I expect to lean BC's way.
Now, if you're Beastcoast, are you happy with this? Like, you're going to be having some of your strats for a map out there, right, where they wouldn't have been otherwise. Would it maybe be better to sort of guide it towards a map you've already played in a situation like this?
I don't think so, because you're still trying to qualify for the major, so you still need to show in this manner that you are dangerous on this map.
Fair enough.
And if you dominate Mirage here, that's a free map that your opponents have to ban against you, and maybe you get a leg up in a counter pick.
All right, interesting enough. Well, let's see what the predictions are going to be for our final game of the day. Let's talk to our casters first. Again, Blue and Stokes hanging out, waiting to tell us what they think. Beastcoast?
Yeah. Let's just make this real quick, okay? I'm going to predict for him. It's Beastcoast for both. Thank you very much. We'll see you soon for the game.
He's wearing Mirage colors, though. Maybe he wants to say Mirage.
No.
Beastcoast colors, too. They could get a
Yeah, those are Beastcoast colors as well.
That's right.
All right, everybody. All right, all together on 3.
Huh?
1, 2, 3.
Beastcoast.
Wait, who said what? Who what?
He said I have no
I
idea.
flipped a coin. I don't know. I can't.
Doa said, I want everybody to have fun.
That's right. Just play a good game.
Doa,
Yes?
since we don't have a whole lot to say on predictions, can I give you some math?
Sure.
No.
I won't understand it, but go ahead.
If Mirage lose this game, they are officially knocked out of major contention. That's it for them.
Naturally.
If they win this game without going to overtime, they have an astounding 1 in 180,000 chance of getting to the major. And if they win in overtime,
All right.
they're not out, but their odds are about 1 in a million.
So you're saying there's a chance.
Someone's going to
All right,
tweet that
okay.
GIF later.
Okay, all right. Well, let's see what the coin says. Now, remember, the coin does love Mirage. It's picked them
That
4
is
out of
true.
5 opportunities. So we'll see what happens. Mirage heads. Beastcoast tails. Oh, it's tails. Sorry.
It's done.
Coin's
It's
given
had
up.
enough of
Coin
this
is
torture.
given up, apparently. There you go. It's going to be Beastcoast for the coin as well. And you know what? The fan vote, the fan vote probably will be going Beastcoast. Let's see what it is.
I'm not feeling so
Because
You almost
know what
there
happens
for a second. Yeah.
when everybody
dust
picks
away?
a certain team. That team is now cursed. Sorry, Beastcoast. History has said that, it might be the team that no one picked that wins it. That happened this week already. So
Adam, I know you're watching. Here's your screenshot. Have fun.
there you go. It's the best shot Mirage has had yet. Let's look at the community poll going into this one. What is the question we have to have? Which Finka player will get more kills, Kento or Sweater? Now, Kento has had some good moments. Yeah. I'll give him that, but Sweater's been an MVP this stage already, so it's going to be tough to top that, I think. But we're going to find out soon enough. Quick break, and when we come back, the final map of the day and week. Mirage fighting for their life against Beastcoast. We'll see who takes it right after this.
I've really been addicted to you. All of my attention I've been giving to you. Caught up in my feelings, I got feelings for you. Caught up in my feelings, I got feelings for you. On my mind, I can't lie. On my mind, I can't lie. Pull you down till you dry. Pull you down till you dry. All the time, ease my mind. All the time, ease my mind. I know that you're dangerous, I'm addicted to you. I might rent the Lambo and go drive it like it's stolen. I've been living wild, I'm just going through the motions. Stumbling out the Uber, grab my hand, gave me the notion. Swimming in your water, but it feels just like the ocean. I can't lie, I've really been addicted to you. All of my attention I've been giving to you. Caught up in my feelings, I got feelings for you. Caught up in my feelings, I got feelings for you. On my mind, I can't lie. On my mind, I can't lie. Pull you down till you dry. All the time, ease my mind. All the time, ease my mind. I know that you're dangerous, I'm addicted to you. I was sipping Moët for 2 years straight to the face. Champagne belly bubbles still won't go away. Last year my best man hit a stain with bare face. Now he's got a hell behind the water's cold case. I wake up with pain sometime and never go away. Wonder why I bow down to my knees when I pray. In my city gritty, gotta keep it on your waist. Or you might be a victim, they'll find you DOA. I can't lie, I've really been addicted to you.
I'm Slash, and this is the NAL.
Once again, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the final matchup of the day here at the NAL as we get ready to dive head first into Mirage versus Beastcoast here. We're not going to sugarcoat it. Mirage has been having a rough go of it the past few weeks here in Stage 2, and they are the lowest standing team at the league in the moment here. But there is an opportunity, especially after their performance yesterday versus Oxygen, almost able to cause a massive upset there. I'd say they could certainly cause one today versus Beastcoast. Beastcoast also has some things they've been working on. Well, again, they've made certain strides forward inside of this stage. There's definitely some things that are going to be abusable on this squad, and we'll have to see if Mirage is going to be able to get a handle on any of that over the course of today's match.
Yes, indeed. It's going to be quite an interesting affair. As you were pointing out, Mirage definitely not in the best of spots when it comes to the NAL, and a huge chance that they actually get knocked out without really ever having a chance to try and get a major berth in the first place. But we're really not here for that. We're here to see if they can try and bounce back against Beastcoast and show us some signs of life. Now, they've done this, at least from a player perspective, a couple of times throughout this stage so far, recently getting off of a 7-5 loss up against Oxygen as well as Space Station Gaming, which is not something to shake your head at. I mean, that's full regulation against two extremely strong teams inside of NA. And now, with that being said, the potential to take out the 6th best squad as we boot up the server here between Mirage and Beastcoast.
All right, well, let's get into it, ladies and gentlemen. Bans are already rolling through pretty quickly here. We've got Knock getting knocked out first by the Beastcoast roster, and then
a little
Maverick.
cheesy there,
Yeah.
a little tongue-in-cheek.
And then Maverick to follow that one up as the final attacking ban. Cade is going to be our first defensive ban. We've got one more left here for players on Beastcoast to give us, and they're going to choose to knock out Lazami. No surprise there.
Yeah, literally zero surprise at all. You know, she's just having so much influence right now in competitive play, and she's just so strong. There's really no other way to put it. If you have literally set your hands on this operator, you know exactly what everybody is talking about. She just provides so much when it comes to a game like Rainbow Six.
I would argue this map especially, there is so much room to utilize her. You've got a lot of like sites and rooms in this map that have like tiny little props or tables set in the middle of them, where you could just set up those Keepa barricades endlessly and cause so many problems inside of a gunfight, not to mention the amount of cutoffs and whatnot that are able to be worked on this map as well with those barricades. So she's just way too universally useful here, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's just so disgusting, especially when you think about how much, you know, throwable denial that we usually see on the defense for, I almost said theme park, for Skyscraper with Jaeger and Wamai working their way in quite often. So that makes it to where it's super difficult to try and dislodge those Keepa barricades in the first phase. So we'll have to see if Mirage can actually work their way around that now. Obviously, with that being removed, is going to make it a little bit easier, but they still have to work their way through these deployable shields, and that could be a problem in and of itself, as we usually see this central hall, as we like to look at it like, held down very viciously from the defense with as much as utility as they can muster. It looks like they're going to be going for something very similar to what we had been expecting. Now, when it comes to Skyscraper overall, this map is pretty unique in the way that it plays out. It's kind of just two separate buildings that are smashed together with kind of that central space being the connecting force. And that makes it to where a lot of different things can happen. Obviously, Beastcoast can punish pretty early on with some of these defensive setups that they can fall back onto, especially around the central part of the map. But Mirage can also try and set up some pretty solid splits when it comes to being able to maintain crossfires and things along those lines if they do want to try and flush out some of these BC players. So now, and speaking of which, Surf will actually be on the receiving end of the beginnings of Mirage offense.
Melted ready to move his way in to start clearing out some of this Beastcoast setup, and he's not going to be the only one to do so. The large majority of the Mirage roster begins to take their control over here on the Arsenal side of the map. They'll even get Sweater to come take a peek, see what's going on as well, and that'll be an easy opener for Kento. Will they be able to find the follow-up, though, as there are more players waiting around the corner in the wings for Beastcoast they'll have to deal with before they can venture over to the other side of the map where the sites in T-Room await for Mirage's attack.
Oh, Surf. This can go so very right and so very wrong. It just really depends. I don't think anybody saw the laser on his gun, and he's gotten so much damage off onto Marmalade. And now they have to try and reconcile. Kento can't deliver, and Surf's going to get away with this. He's taken down Nyx, and this is more than likely going to lock up quite a few of these walls Just depends on what Surf can do with these mute jammers and what he can muster. Can he move them around or anything like that to try and help them? Doesn't look like they're going to need too much help just yet as Surf continues on his domination streak. It's a triple kill from him out of the SAS kit.
That's going to knock out Kento and now leave only 2 players standing for the assaulting roster here. One of them now challenging the position of Surf, and he's going to work out too to equalize things into a 2v2. That's the team ready to move forward after that one, but at the same time, they still have to be cautious here. There's a lot of map control still needing to be gained by the Mirage roster as they shuffle their way over towards the site. And the Beast Coast players, thankfully for the Mirage assault here, are not going to challenge that remaining map control too heftily here. They're going to sit inside of Karaoke and Geisha and try to play out the rest of this round from those positions. A little bit of aggression, though, coming out from at least one of them as they'll venture a bit further out towards T-Room.
And this showing exactly how we see a lot of defenses handled when it comes to the T-Room. You try and fight for that central area and delay as much time as you can, hopefully getting a few bodies in the process, and that's exactly what's happened for BC. They've been able to hold on to this because of that. It looks like to be a Geisha push here from Mira, or rather Mirage, as Melton moves in, Slash with a misread, and now Anthony working his way in as well, but he gets taken down. Very awkward round there for Beast Coast at the end, especially given the circumstances of the Mirage player being inside of Geisha. You really would have thought that they had a read as to what the situation was looking like. Lion's not just going to stand outside a Geisha window on his lonesome for no reason at all, and they get caught completely off guard by the fellow Mirage member working their way in. Beast Coast is definitely going to want that round back after Surf got 3 kills before they were able to respond to him and definitely gave BC an opportunity.
Silo does not end up working out in the favor of Beast Coast. Mirage, after a booming execute, starts out well for them, taking the kind of easier control over towards the office and using the step-up point there to be able to actually take down some of the roaming members of Beast Coast, chain that together into a even more successful round as they get themselves closer to the site. Still was a fairly close shave, though, at a 2v2, but they managed to get the job done. So good results continuing to show after Mirage already showed us a massive improvement in yesterday's game. They're going to look for the outright upset today versus Beast Coast to try and take a win versus them. Beast Coast will go for the usual follow-up, not going to retry in a T-Room, of course. They move over towards the office side instead here and try and fend off the next assault from Mirage.
Yeah, we're going to leave Mirage's success on the back burner until we get more of a streak here. Let's see how Beast Coast try to respond. They're not going to be going for T this time, instead throwing it over to Exhibition and seeing if they can hold on to this here. As this site has really grown on a lot of different teams. You know, it definitely wasn't the funnest back in the day on old Skyscraper, but now it has a lot of, I would just say a lot of love that's been given to it. And oh, speaking of a lot of love, Sweater's going to give Melted the business as he gets knocked down and sent to the heavens, and I do believe Sweater's going to make it back in alive, and he will. Not a single other MRG player around this portion of the map that could even make an adjustment to try and kill the Beast Coast player working their way back into the building.
That's some nice intel utilization there from Beast Coast, assuming they had the information from a default cam that that player was alone. Great moment of opportunity there for them to be able to jump out and for Drift to be able to grab that, or rather for Sweater to be able to grab that kill and shut down the play from Melted there, not letting him go any further. In terms of operators removed from play, it's not earth-shattering removal from the team, but still, they're going to see this wall get popped open. Surf will now be ready for the challenge of any additional members of Mirage if they are going to try to swing this newly opened wall.
Mirage have at least gotten the single panel open there for the office, looking to get the double open soon so they can start toying with Beast Coast, see if they can get anybody to swing, potentially get some kills, start looking for this plant, the normal things you do once you start to get some of these walls open around the site. But the issue for Mirage right now is that they're lacking bodies in comparison to Beast Coast. It's a 5 versus 4, and Mirage aren't really too gung-ho about trying to enter the building and look for another BC member, so they're going to try and do it through other means. Not exactly traditionally, but I mean, in common day siege, you probably could say so. It's going to be frag grenades from underneath here, but they're not going to get too much done. And in fact, it's actually going to give a kill over to Sweater after they're able to finally take down Slash. But so much time being wasted by BC here that Mirage now has to try and act. We're going to move an Osa's shield here towards the breach, but the delay, it's working out swimmingly for BC.
Beast Coast just kind of sitting back, waiting for the next challenge to work their way in. Now, since they have the player advantage, they still have map control working in their favor.
Wow.
No longer is Marms able to get one going. Unfortunately, at the cost of Nyx, though, is Sweater once again making the impact. It's all on the individuals right now for Beast Coast in terms of how they're staying in these rounds. Surf finally chiming in for his first on this round, but that's on top of 3 from the previous one here. All up to Benji now for Mirage here with 36 seconds to play out the remaining time here. Try to see if he can make a press forward onto the site, but he's losing more and more of his potentially workable area as he continues to draw down the clock. Had one player on the stairs, isolated, but can't find the headshot to take them out, and at the same time he's got to be careful to make sure he doesn't turn his back too heftily, as that'll lead him to a pretty confident swing from one of the members from Beastcoast. We can see Drip trying to line up for that final swing to shut him down now, but ultimately Benji just kind of delaying the inevitable, it would seem here, as now he's put himself into a sandwich. A 1v2 put before him, but time is getting a little bit too low for him to realistically clutch this out.
No way.
2-1. No! Drip denies it at the last second, but still, Benji bringing it so close. It's almost a second. What would have been an incredible round for Mirage, but sadly is denied in the final moments.
Oh, that's some real tears there for Mirage as Benji was starting to heat up, and that was one of the highlight players I was looking into prior to this matchup. Yes, Mirage overall does not have the greatest stats. In fact, they have the worst stats of any team inside of North America. But past that, a lot of these players have had these moments where they shine through and can really show us what they can do as an individual. It just makes you really wish that they were able to get all on the same page, like we see a lot of these teams nowadays, not really an individual, stepping up to the plate and doing everything for a squad. It's a team effort. And for Mirage, we haven't exactly gotten that in spades when it comes to this team. It's been some big pop-off moments for a single player, and the other one's just making up the rear. But this could be a big difference here now. We'll have to see how this round goes. Benji, more than likely wanting that clutch back, but beggars can't be choosers. They at least got one round right now as things are tied up, and it's anybody's game.
So for Beastcoast, time to finally get their feet onto the ground, or at least that's what they're thinking right now as they try to lock things in. Another T-room defense for themselves. Falling back on this is obviously not going to have a choice. They'll have to go to a tertiary site afterwards if they manage to lock things in here. So wanting to try and avoid going downstairs to grill for as long as possible. Bedroom, of course, still being an option too. We have seen teams flirt into that every once in a while. Nice rotate going to be set up also for Beastcoast over on the other side of the map. Be able to quickly fall back from Surf position should he get pressure out, as we saw Mirage do initially back in the first round.
Mirage are going to begin breaking up some of the balcony walls, specifically the single panel here for Geisha. So they'll have some control over that, or semblance of a sort. See if they can actually work their way into that portion here momentarily, as Beastcoast more than likely having a member around that area. Kento's going to set up across downstairs just to play for delivery, see if he can try and stop anybody from rotating back. Unfortunately enough, I do believe that Surf might have accidentally shot his nitro cell there. Haven't seen him put it back in his inventory, so I'm assuming, yes indeed, he accidentally did catch that with the shotgun, so won't have access to that explosive device any longer. And Slash, speaking of which, won't have access to his HP bar any longer. Down to a sliver's worth of HP. A bullet could end his existence inside of round 3, and that's going to give Mirage over Geisha, which was pretty illustrated from the earlier explosion that we saw on the single panel Surf. Very questionable move there, but not thinking that Mirage is in just yet. Nyx will be traded out by Anthony, and Mirage, at least with a foothold now near the site.
4v4 though, so no earth-shattering movements here in terms of who's controlling the round. Sweater patiently waiting here just outside of the barbecue to try and catch a few of these members lurking out against him. It'll be a soft wall between them as well, as there is going to be a little bit of peppered shots coming in between the two of them. Neither will lead to anything, however, and Sweater potentially not ready to challenge for this player out on the balcony. Even with the Osas shield, wins it out and does not get caught on the cross from Karaoke either. Beautiful kill and beautiful escape from Sweater. He's going to tuck himself in a tier room and probably stay here for the rest of the round.
Harsh reality for Benji. Cold moment for Mirage, and now down an extra body. Trying to transition now towards this site take. Marmalade working her way in for Karaoke. Slash will blow up Melted, but that's not the planter. Kento's got to hold the cross now as he works towards the top of Black Stairs, but it's ill-advised. Drip is awaiting the arrival of that member, and he goes down. It's left up to Marm. She's got one nice flick. Transitions back into Geisha, another nice kill, and now has a chance, but oh, Sweater, what a shot from him. Shuts down Marm in the 1v4 clutch, and Beastcoast to pull ahead for the very first time.
Not awful lead-ups here for Mirage either, always seemingly getting themselves to the site. I think at least 2 different occasions here have managed to negotiate themselves a plant, but unfortunately it's always left down to just one player trying to clutch against the rest. And
Kento's just trying to do too much there. He really is. Like, you can't be swinging things like that when somebody's planting the case in the room right to your right. You're the problem with this, and the best way I can try to explain it to everybody at home is that when you transition through things like that in those kind of moments, you're just giving more angles over to the defense that they can punish you from, and that's exactly what happened. He didn't think anybody was going to be occupying a hole in a random wall, and he dies. You can't have that happen in that kind of situation. Marmalade is almost guaranteed the plant there, and you go looking for kills. That's not the right play at all. You have to lock things up and make sure that you have that cross held, because especially in that situation, if Kento plays patiently, he maybe gets one, and guess what? That gives Marmalade the opportunity to clutch that out. They're just not playing for each other in that situation. They're playing to make the highlight play, and that's wrong.
All right, well, let's see now if Mirage can make up the difference here as they finally have a bit of a potentially easier assault in front of them, at least in terms of the fact that they can now finally abuse some vertical pressure against the hold from Beastcoast. It's going to be downstairs in the bedroom here as they try to close things out on this site before unlocking the office upstairs directly above them, in fact, for the 5th round.
Beastcoast, after pulling ahead instead of that last round, as you said it, headed down towards Master. And this is a pretty unique site. A lot of vertical play that comes into this, so be paying attention to any breaching charges. Well, in this regard, it'll be just Nyx here to try and get control of that verticality. Could have Melted apply some impacts, but more than likely be using those for sight or just something else in general. You're going to have the Valkyrie working in here from BC, so Slosh will have some info game working on this top floor. And, well, speaking of which, Mirage are going to start working on this top floor as well. EMP down, and Marmalade will get the wall open and force the the authority of Beastcoast on this top floor back towards the house stairs.
Slash still sitting back, waiting for this first peek over at the window next to the bedroom, but not going to get it as Mirage too focused right now on clearing the upstairs hold. Even there, though, they're going to run into a few problems. You can see Sweater still circumnavigating the area surrounding the office to try to fend off the push from Mirage while being super careful not to leave himself here for an extended period of time to the degree where he can just be shot out when he tries to go for his next peek. Mirage will now be trying to set up for that very same peek I was just mentioning. As you can see, Kento looking to negotiate it now, but there's going to be an alibi barricade or rather an alibi clone in the way, so going to have to work past not only that, but the laser gate as well. A few things will still stand in the team's way, but Marm as well as Benji are going to begin at least attempting to open up options on the first floor, but that's way too direct. Anthony has no problem countering out the push from Marm there and knocking her out of the fight.
Man, I hate that so much. That was just really not the play I expected from Mirage to go there, especially with Benji not having an angle to occupy that. It seemed like they'd really never had done that before when it came to scrims or anything of the sort, unless they'd had somebody repelled there to hold the door instead, because there's no way that Benji helps Marmalade there at all, and she dies because of it, and now Mirage have to sit outside the building and try and figure out how to kill any Beastcoast member. Trip is going to continue to hold on to the bathroom. Mirage haven't really gotten a foothold around the site just yet. Surf's going to take a lot of damage and eventually die as Mirage, I do believe, flood inside of the master closet here. That's going to be the case down, though, and Anthony's going to be able to play this out because of it with Sweater in tow. And yes, indeed, it was the straight delivery towards the master closet that gets him all of those kills, but it's still not going to work out for MRG. It's down to Kento, and he's dead. He's already used his adrenal surge as well, so he's on a long cooldown. He's marked. He's gone. Beastcoast pull ahead by 2.
Winners popping things off there at the end to make sure things close out still in the favor of BC, and indeed they will still be able to control these still fairly chaotic scenarios. Once again, Mirage unfortunately setting themselves up to an extent to fail at the beginning by losing far too many players on that opening clear and on their way to the site, making it impossible from the 1vx to be able to actually realistically close these down, and now will force a pause to come in for them as well.
Man, it's just rubbing me the wrong way how Mirage opens up practically the entirety of that top floor, get the double open, start working on other things. They're like, all right, we're going to transition down low, maybe try and get Master Closet open or something like that. But the biggest problem with that is that they didn't actually have any presence upstairs to try and deal with any of the site players or anything going on down low. So, you know, you don't really have a distraction for the defense, which allows them to just mull about on that base level. And they hear you breaking open a door. You lose your hard breach and really lose everything else in between when, for some odd reason, Mirage move the person with the case over to an island and have them try and move in via the closet hallway. It's just really bad any way you slice it. It's just like Mirage, they're able to like climb up the rope just a little bit, but right when they start to get up towards the top, they slip like 10 feet and then they have to do it all over again. It's like they make the right move, but immediately take another step backwards at the same time.
All right, well, it's time to see if the pause will yield any sort of major results here. In terms of operator picks, it's not going to cause any major departure from the formula we've been seeing. Benji, for instance, still going to be bringing the Osa into play to add those shields, especially for this push upstairs here. Alongside of that, we are going to see, of course, the Finka remaining into the lineup. And the only real big change is going to be Nyx bringing the Thatcher into the fold, and that's not a huge earth-shattering removal of anything from the team. Mainly just going to be missing the Flores and the Rotero drones that would come with that now.
Let's see, 70-30 in favor of Sweater over Kento for who is the Finka player that's going to get more kills with the LMG. And so far, it looks like you may be right. Obviously, Sweater hasn't had access to an LMG just yet, so we'll have to see what he can do over on the offensive side, unless he wants to play Maestro for some reason. But we'll have to see. Kento currently at 3 and 4, so still has some opportunity these next 2 rounds to tally things up, try and get some more kills for him, and try and prove everybody wrong on that social poll. But past that, EMP out and quick dispatching of the main wall here.
So that's option 1 for the execute opened up for Mirage now, but going to be some time before we see them take full utilization of that. Beastcoast, of course, will still have to be careful inside of it. Sweater still lining up for a fairly early impact play as well, trying to see if he can maybe catch a few members of Mirage rotating, but not going to see them drifting that direction this early on here. Later on, though, as you can see, he's we're at this door, so has the run-out potential built up. But again, it'll be a big risk. We saw the one earlier from him that worked out swimmingly. In fact, so much so that he fully jumped out from a second-story window and then was able to walk all the way around about a quarter of the building to work his way back inside. So excellent impact being made there. Don't doubt his capability to do it again. Unfortunately, he needs a member of Mirage to drift closer. That doesn't look like that's going to be happening anytime soon here. Melton, in the meanwhile, has been able to move in up on top over by Church here and try to move the team forward further into the building.
And they're being very, very patient. Don't know if Kento saw Anthony there for just a split second, but he's worked his way back into the dry bar, and what a shot from Kento. He'll take down Anthony and drip to fall from Melted as well after those 2 trades. So obviously Mirage are going to come out on top of the pile, but they still have to try and get this plant down. Now, the fortunate thing for Mirage in this situation is not only do they still have extra hard breach and Slash?
All right.
Slash, hello? It's worked the same way for years. It worked the same way for years, Slash.
To be fair, I think someone might have had like an angle on him from the other side of the wall, and that might have explained why he had to hold back there. But either way, Mirage just comes storming into the site this time, giving Beastcoast absolutely no opportunity to recenter themselves. They get decked, and a well-deserved second round goes onto the board for Mirage.
And to what you said, if somebody's holding you while you're playing that, John, just swing them.
I mean,
like,
I don't disagree. I'm
just swing.
Just trying to give the man some credit here.
There's no credit when you die to a thermite charge, John. What credit does he deserve? You stood in front of something that's extremely loud and died? No credit given. 0 credit, actually. Minus credit. Give me your credits. Oh my, what a round that was from a bunch of different angles. I mean, Mirage, I think the big thing there for them is that they're able to circumvent a lot of the early aggression from Beastcoast, and not only that, but capitalize off of some of these swings that we see from BC, and that transitions into a pretty nice late round there, where they're able to pick up quite a few of those kills, including the pretty cheeky exothermic one. But either way, Mirage still with a serious opportunity to tie things up here on their offensive side.
3-3 would definitely be workable here for Mirage if they're going to be able to negotiate towards it, but a tough task sits in front of them as once again Beastcoast can now return over towards the tea room.
I'm sorry, I'm just at a loss that I literally just watched Slashhog of all people get exploded by an exothermic
that's why I'm like, maybe something was going on, you know? Maybe, we didn't see the full picture. Like,
yeah, for a second he was deaf in his left ear. That's what happened. Yeah, actually, yeah. Oh,
well,
Melted?
Melton's going to try to go for a bit of a dash up the stairs, and this time we'll get caught quite handily. It's always seems to be Sweater that catches these early plays, too, as he's first on the board again for Beastcoast.
You poke BC a little bit, and it's like, All right, I'm coming for a window. Somebody's dying early. Sweater hits his mark yet again. And as you said, this has been happening in quite a few of their matchups, so it's pretty interesting that none of these offenses have exactly been ready for him to be playing around these window sills. But that's going to be melted off the board now, and a pretty big piece of the soft breach utility, practically all of it gone now for Mirage.
Another nice game being played so far by Sweater overall, even away from the run-outs and early round kills. We've been seeing him maintain a consistent scoreline throughout the course of this match. Currently leading for the squad at 8-2. Ooh. Another kill going to be picked up here by Beastcoast as well. This coming off of Surf's utility with the Nitro to knock out a second member of the squad. That means the Finka now down also, so going to be losing that power to heal this team back up. And Nyx definitely caught that as he's gone back onto the angle, but indeed a very scary cross there, both for his sake as well as his opponent. Sweater now to line up a second kill also against Nyx. Now he finally pushes back into that position and is going to pay the price for it. Marm so far with the only impact being made for Mirage. She's able to take down Drip. Aside from that though, not a single point of damage done to anybody on Beastcoast, and already Sweater and Slash have negated out the damage done to them as they trade out the round in their favor and close things down 4-2 as the half comes to an end.
It seems to just be Surf and Sweater's world, and we're all just living in it. They're running around, getting all the dirty deeds done for Beastcoast as they put Mirage in a body bag over and over again. Mirage are able to at least come out of this with 2 rounds as they work their way into their defensive side, and will be starting us off on Karaoke. Now, this is where things get super scary. I don't really think that there's another way to put this, because Beastcoast are now on the favorable side, and not only that, but you have Sweater and Surf with 2 of the most potent guns in the game at the current moment. So I don't necessarily think that this is going to go well for Mirage, but you know, I've been proven wrong before, and I'm willing to be proven wrong here again. Speaking of Mirage's camp, they're going to be leaning pretty heavily on this util game, not only with the smokes and the Goyo canisters, but also having the yokai of Nyx. They'll be bringing a deployable shield here as well, so they'll probably have those on the 2 opposite ends of that central hall. One on the north side, one on the south for Drum. Try and hold things down. Maybe hold back Beastcoast and see if they can get some early picks or trade some things out for utility that could bode well for them later on.
So as the time continues to tick down here, we will see Beastcoast, of course, work their way over the edges of the building for the first time in this map. Mirage now have their opportunity to shut things down in the early round if they'd like to go for it, of course. And for Beastcoast, still need to try and their initial positionings to even get things started for themselves. Mirage have a similarly aggressive lineup to what we were seeing from Beastcoast in the previous half here, but the fact that Kento and one of their players are going to continue their extension over into the office side and try to fend off some of these early clears. Benji will get the first challenge set his way, but the shot's not going to line up in the way he needs him to, so much so that he does not want to re-challenge it at any point here. Just ends up backing away from the staircase entirely and letting Sweater have the control.
Respect to Benji for using old red dot, though. I mean, they added so many 1x sites, and he still chooses to use the worst site in the entire game. You definitely got to give it to him for that. So we'll see if we can get any kills with this thing, as the Vector, still an amazing gun, and Benji probably good with it with the red dot either way, just messing around a little bit. Mirage, they're going to back up towards their setup here for the mezzanine. So hold on to Shrine, Dragon, and everything else in between for some time. Beastcoast haven't made a considerable move towards any part of Mirage's setup just yet. Is they'll start working in from the office side of things. They still have Slash with some good info inside of that Inox as he'll continue to scan about.
Still no impact being made by either team here at about a halfway point inside of the round. Currently on with Kento here as he continues to wait things out with the discs in hand, and for Beastcoast still looking to try and forge their own way forward. Also, you can see the hard breach trying to do its job and open things up deeper into the building for Beastcoast to try and be able to open up a path forward, and they've been able to do so to some extent now. As you can see, Selma has made its impact over there going into T-Room, but the team still needs to maintain positioning to be able to push that forward. They'll just now start to take out some of these Goyo canisters as well, meaning there's still a dangerous amount of delay left sitting onto the field. Beastcoast finally using out the last of their Selmas, though, opens up a path forward into Geisha, but it's Mirage to get the first kill finally against Slash, with a Nitro being thrown out against him.
Also, just as a quick thing, Surf actually quickly switched off of the Zoe and instead brought the Yana. So not having the LMG, but has the ARX, which is practically just as strong, as he'll swing in and show you exactly why. Bodies Benji inside of T, but still a long road ahead of them. They have to deliver on this execution.
Oh, no.
The frag grenade into Sweater, and it's going to kill him. How unfortunate for Beastcoast, but it's a 3 versus 3. They still have a job to do. You can't lose the plot now. Surf continues to try and propel themselves forward, but they have no opportunity to get this open. 0 Selma charges, no breaching either. Drip's going to start planting, but it's going to be right inside of the door. They have a chance to be able to try and stop this if they just pre-fire through, but Drip, he's stopped. The Yokai has been able to get him. He hasn't found it either, and Marmalade will take down Surf Mirage, get it done from the utility game.
And for Beastcoast, they do not have the courage to directly challenge the interior site setup, especially after the gaff with the team grenade kill. And unfortunately, from that point forward, the team has set themselves up for a loss due to not being aware. Oh, of course, we got the slow-mo on this, too.
No.
Sweater just literally falling to his death, powerless to stop it here.
Imagine Sweater buffs himself in the air and lives. Imagine.
That'd be crazy.
Just like, oh, think of Stim, actually alive, though. Frag grenades, nah, not for me.
Nope, not.
Just built a little different. Indeed. So now Mirage shoring things up, at least by a small margin for right now. Now we'll have the opportunity to tie things up as they're going to move themselves towards the east side of the map, the usual site that we see here on the second floor, exhibition as well as office. We'll see what they can get done. I mean, it's kind of looking like a similar setup, not so much into the denial part of this like we saw with Mirage the last time. No Goyo, no Yokai to try and stop out the plant like we saw, but they're still going to have Marmalade and quite a few different things to be able to try and hold back Beastcoast from a utility point of view. We have the Jaeger, we have the Wamai, the Mute Jammers in to try and hold up these walls, and also Frost, kind of the icing on the cake. You know, if there's an oversight from BC, they could be severely punished from those welcome mats, but this is going to require a lot more heavy lifting from Mirage in the frag department. If we don't see them light up the scoreboard here, then Beastcoast can deal some considerable damage.
So we've got Beastcoast out and about yet again. You're going to notice, in fact, that Mirage have a pretty light amount of defense peppered around the actual site area, trying to extend this quite heavily. And just like Beastcoast was doing in the previous half, denying most opportunities to play earlier on in the round, limited those numbers down. We'll have to see how Beastcoast tries to approach it, though, as they're going to work their way in, it seems, from the downstairs position first, with the exception of Drip here. Going to open up a little bit of territory upstairs, closer to the site, to form a bit of a staging ground for Beastcoast to work their way into. We can see the Rotero drone dealing with the utility. Beastcoast just kind of proceeding. And there's not going to be much room to interrupt them either, due to the more passive setup that we've seen from Mirage, and of course the fact that Beastcoast are maintaining presence outside of the building. This Rotero drone, bit close to one of our defenders, but thankfully they notice it just in time and are able to get out of there.
I was really interested to see how much damage that Rotero drone was going to do to Nyx. There's going to be another one here and forces him back yet again. Sweater delivers from the frag department, literally, as he chucks one down lane and takes out Marm, possibly the most important defender overall to the story of round 8. Sweater will take down Benji, and now Mirage worse for wear in the most literal sense. Sweater's trying to handle some things from down low, but it's going to be Drip to strike next. Kenta will be able to take down at least one, but there's a whole plethora of Beast Coast members inside of his portion of the building right now, and he can't deal with it. Anthony will take him down. Nyx almost loses it out to Surf on a nice flick, but now on minimal HP, he has to try and pick up these pieces and clutch it out, but so many strong positions adopted by BC at the current moment. It's going to make it nigh impossible for Nyx to actually get out of even this office area. As he tries to transition through this door, the angle's actually going to be dropped, so he's got some space to work through now as he continues to transition. Able to get towards the dry bar, but you can see how BC are playing this out, playing it so well on the timer, not trying to take any crazy engagements or anything like that. Drip playing it down to the wire and forces Nyx all the way into the corner to take that gunfight with him and wins it out pretty handedly. Now Beastcoast pulling ahead by 2 yet again.
So Beastcoast in control of the situation once more through a fairly straightforward way to aggression to kind of suss out the members of Mirage inside of the site to take them down one by one and leave them with no opportunity to play out again as we reach the late point of the round. Beastcoast now setting themselves up for victory. Only 2 rounds to go, and Mirage will be forced to rotate yet again. Downstairs into the barbecue at this time.
I really want to know where Marmalade was playing inside of that last round, just given the circumstances of MRG's utility, right? You have the Wamai, you have the Jaeger, Jaeger, yet a frag grenade seems to pass through the entire site and blow up Marmalade randomly. I don't know if that came from underneath or what happened, so I'd really like to know what happened with that situation, because she could have made some serious moves inside of those dying moments to try and hold back Beastcoast from getting into the site when it came to the office area. But obviously she's not alive. She can't do anything about that, and Mirage really don't have any eyes set on that. All it was in that current moment was Kento, and when you're one person against the world, it never really works out that way, does it?
No, it does not. So continue to see if Mirage can pick up the difference here, find that inner strength they need to be able to beat out these executes from Beastcoast here, but it's been a tough road for them so far, and they are quickly running out of gas, with Beastcoast now only 2 rounds away. Things are looking very, very bleak indeed for our defenders to finally break this, at the moment, flawless losing streak for Mirage at 0-5. They finally put a W on the board for this team. It's been a very trying stage, and they're looking to try and get past things here. They have made improvements, to be fair to them. This game is an example of that, but to look for an outright win, that's been tough and has been evading this team for some weeks now.
Yeah, it would really suck if you just so happen to be in the best region in the whole world that is highly competitive at the current moment, and you're just trying to figure yourself out. I mean, hey, it's like it's like playing T-ball, and then you're like, all right, I'm going straight to MLB. That's kind of like what we have going on right now. Like, Mirage is soul-searching and trying to find exactly how their team should mesh, and a lot of these teams have been together for such a very long time, or have planned to be in the case of Parabellum. So it's made things a little bit easier for a lot of these squads. Mirage never really seeming to be able to challenge out these squads and get a win over them. We've definitely had some pretty good games, like we were talking about before this series started. Mirage losing 7-5 to SSG and Oxygen inside of their last 2 games. And again, that's not something to shake your head at, and Kento has some stuff to say along with that. A little ad-lib as he'll take down Anthony and remove the Thatcher from play.
Surf going to be able to pick up the frag against Nyx here as Beastcoast continue to excel, but Benji fights back now for Mirage, picking up Surf just as quickly as he found one of his teammates. Beastcoast, they're in, but they don't have stable enough control just yet, but they're going to be trying to change that here. Kento potentially ready for the battle back against that clear. He'll back away, get himself, I believe, on the sushi bar, continue to wait out the premise. Never mind, it's going to go to the other bars here, so still have time to wait down, and thankfully so will Beastcoast with a little over a minute to play this out still. Melted, though, going to try to build up something for himself. He still has upstairs control. Seems like the position, though, of Benji, at least, is going to get spotted out, and that'll now become a priority target for at least one player remaining on Beastcoast.
Looked like for just a second there that Melted was flirting with potentially hopping out the window, but speaking of which, Drip, he's going for a plant right now. He's been taken down. Sweater will be able to refrag, but now with only Sweater and the Slash alive, this has became extremely difficult. Kento does have low HP, and actually no, Melted gets downed upstairs. It's left up to Benji, and they have case control down low. A frag out, and oh, it almost delivers so very close to home for Benji. He knows Melted is still down. Don't know if he'll transition and try and get him. I think he's trying to play for this case right now. This is such a hard decision for him. I really can't even tell you with a calm mind what Benji's supposed to do in this current moment. Well, win. I think that's what he's supposed to do. He'll take down Sweater, and now Slash has to try and find this kill. 5 seconds remain. Slash, you have to do something. He just saw him, and Benji gets it done. I believe a triple for him on the round, and Mirage are able to at least slow it down for some time and get this bleeding to halt.
Mirage stays in the fight and will live to skirmish another round for themselves here. Nicely done as well. A fairly difficult fight to be able to control, but they managed to get it done. And Benji with the clutch also here. You can see Slash try to catch his opponent at the final moment. And he did actually catch a glimpse of him through the breaches as well. He just personally may have not noticed it, leading to the indecisive peek from him at the end. Pretty much a 50-50 coin flip between himself and his opponent, but it does not work out in his favor. And Beastcoast now sits only 1 round ahead of the Mirage hold as a result of that.
Yeah, insanely unfortunate for them, but Benji moolah, Benji money inside of that last round. And I meant that in the most literal sense, by the way. There was a million different ways for Benji to play that out, and a majority of them more than likely lose him the round. But the way that he's able to challenge things out initially, get away from that frag grenade, continue to play out the situation down low, whilst also, keeping that game sense alive, recognizing that potentially Slash could push him through that top floor eventually as well. I mean, you really can't do more or ask more from Benji in that situation. It was played out masterfully as he's able to really take it to Beastcoast for round 9, but That means that we still have round 10 on the docket. What's in store for this as Mirage? Well, they've switched gears. They're back over inside of Tea Room to try and hold things down for potentially the first time on the site.
Beastcoast looking to try and work their way in, and there are a few players from Mirage that are going to be quite forward with their positioning here. Kento will be revealed, has to pre-fire into that window now, as there's a chance someone from Beastcoast may be trying to shoot him out. So has to back away from that position over here in towards check-in now to see if he can wait for a potential re-swing. If Beastcoast are going to go for it, Beastcoast I think are trying to play this a little bit cautiously themselves. They do not want to directly challenge that player. They're going to wait for him to back up, give up his position, and for themselves be able to move in here without too much of a risk to their own lives.
Yes, indeed. Beastcoast, though, spreading themselves out here from the office side. They'll start breaking up some of these walls and seeing if they can start working their way into the building. Now, please do remember what we talked about when it comes to kind of that central hall of the building where Dragon and Drum and all that kind of stuff is. We usually see a huge stand made by the defense right here as a try to hold back the offense and soak up as much of this clock as possible. And it's usually extremely successful because a lot of teams, for some odd reason, really like transitioning into this space at about a minute 30. At about a minute 30, you really want to start looking towards the site. That's usually how we see, the mind of Siege players work. That minute 30 markers where you're trying to force everybody back, get them towards that site, and really start applying that pressure. But Beastcoast a little off on this, and they'll have to try and deal with Mirage's setup that's around the space. They'll be able to do so successfully, knocking the deployable shield out and forcing the hand of the Goyo canister, but past that, not able to get the kill. So it's going to be clock for map pressure.
Catching projectiles.
Beastcoast still ready to move forward here now and challenge against the Mirage setup, but a full 5-player build-up here is going to be so tough to work your way into, and you can tell that Beastcoast still very, very tepid with their capability to push through Drum. Benji trying to go for a wild peek there, sees the players in Drum, and is very quickly going to pop off the Goyo here just to make sure that there's no immediate race swing yet again against him. Beastcoast, though, still continuing to wait out the time, as you said, time for map control right now, except the problem is Beastcoast are no longer gaining any map control. They're just getting intel off of their drones at this point. It's all on them to make the push forward and swing into this site, but they are quickly running out of time to probability do that. We're going to see them move in. Just try to set up for the first plant attempt here, but the crosses are there. Drip has already fallen. The planter has gone down. Surf's been able to exchange it back out on a Marn, but still way too much control here for Mirage. They're picking up kill after kill, and Beastcoast just doesn't have the positioning to work this realistically. Slash already down. Sweater can't even play into this either. If he peeks out, he's going to go right into the flames. So that'll be a quick shutdown from Mirage, and another round put on the board for them as they tie it up 5-all.
All right, Siege community, listen here. We got to find a way to start taking the center part of the map because a multitude of teams are running into this problem right now whenever we watch Skyscraper. When it comes to clearing things out, if the defense is playing denial, they can simply hold on to the part of the map and force you to just sit there and wait. It's super unfortunate, and given those circumstances, Beastcoast is going to call a tactical timeout. Now, there is one good thing about this. You want to know what it is, John?
What's that?
Well, if Beastcoast take the next 2 rounds, which would give them the dub, that means that Mirage can't go back to T in the first place. So they don't have to try and deal with that. They will have to deal with it in a different sense. It's kind of on the other foot in a different way. It's whenever they go over towards office and that kind of stuff, that if they do come in from that T and karaoke side, then it's basically just going to be the shoe on the other foot. You're going to have to try and clear out through Terrace as well as some of the other places around that mid part of the map. And again, it could be a very serious time sink that could potentially end up ending the round just like we saw.
All right, well, it looks like the timeout has come to a close here, folks. We're going to be heading back in game, taking a look at any potential changes we may be getting from Beastcoast to try to lock in for those last 2 rounds. As you mentioned, though, not going to be able to fall back into the benefit of being able to go into the Tea Room for this next hold. Instead, Mirage is actually going to rotate to a whole different site. It'll be downstairs here in the bedroom. We saw them play the barbecue earlier. Didn't really work out too well for them as Beastcoast still able, I believe, to win that one. So they'll try things out over towards the bedroom instead and see if that will yield results for the defense to lock in a 6th round.
Well, if you do remember what we saw from Mirage's defense on this, they got a pretty solid start, but But then immediately after, excuse me, offensive side, by the way, I do believe I messed that up. So Mirage's offensive side, they got an initial opener when it came to clearing out some things around these windows, but no real considerable advantage when it came to map control. Eventually, after we have some Beast Coast picks, they throw it right into the master closet and they clean up shop. They take out every Beast Coast member, but the Mirage teammate that has the case tries to go in through practically the front door and loses the case to Beast Coast, and they win the round because of it. So Mirage can now try and right their wrongs as they're on this defensive end and can hopefully do something very similar to Beast Coast. It just depends on how this round is going to break down. And speaking of which, we got some pretty interesting utility on BC's side.
Indeed we do. Gonna see the Ying rolling in here for Surf to be able to add a little bit more of a boom to this execute. I actually agree with this pick entirely. Beast Coast have kind of been missing that execute utility, which has been allowing them to get past these more straightforward Mirage setups when they've been able to survive to the bitter end of the round. Beast Coast has had some success in being able to work their way past these when they got earlier picks, but let's be real, they've been struggling to find them as Mirage have been playing a more passive hold for themselves and has been more appropriately pulling their players back when the situation necessitates it. So
there he is. I was wondering where Anthony was, because the exothermic been sitting on there for quite some time, but it really took him some time to rotate across the map. Next is going to get discovered inside of Master and fall off deeper into the site, but overall this is going to give Beast Coast a foothold on the top floor, and Surf with some potential here. Doesn't exactly know what he wants just yet. He wants to try and get into delivery, and that's what he was waiting for. He was waiting for somebody to pop this open. And Surf also more than likely having a heart attack there as he realizes this entire thing is open for this wall.
Oh my God! Missed the knife!
No, not like this. Surf tries to get the knife out, but it will not stick into the side of Marm, and instead it's a bullet to the brain and the opener going to the defense.
I mean, that's kind of it. That's the play done.
That was the play.
So I don't know what Beast Coast's backup plan is, as it don't really have any follow-up execute utility. Both of the nades on Sweater have been used as well. So like they can chunk one of those onto someone's position and force them out into the open to get an opening kill going for themselves. They just have to brute force it now, as they no longer have a choice. And this is going to be rough. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Melted has already shut down a second player. Marm's been hit pretty heavily now on a trade, but Slash also down. Melted's going to be able to finish that off. Sweater and Drip are all that remain.
Well, you say that, and all of a sudden Sweater activated as he'll take down Benji, but it's still a 2 versus 4 case on Drip at the current moment. Sweater with a heck of a consideration when it comes to Beast Coast's efforts. 16 and 6 at the current moment, 17 now as he takes down Melted, and Sweater with full sight presence, almost able to take down the shield player as well. So many bullets inside of this LMG as he bounces back and forth on the angles, but isn't given a single inch as Nyx takes down his teammate. He'll take him down as well. And Mirage now with an opportunity here to not only best every talent inside of this building at the current moment, but you online and Beast Coast, who I can almost guarantee you do not want to lose against the worst team in the NAL.
That's right, the cursed prediction is alive and well here, so for Mirage, their chances are still looking good, but unfortunately only with one opportunity to do it now to be able to shut this one down before OT is triggered. Either way, that'll be a good thing for Mirage, even if things end up going awry for them inside of overtime, as it'll still guarantee at least 1 point for them to finally go onto the board in the season standings. Definitely want to try and make that 3 though, as that would help to increase their chances of trying to finish higher than 10th place. Let's see if they can lock in that one final round and complete the set. The upset, in fact, or if Beast Coast will be able to rally back with their own cry to send us to OT.
It's just so weird in between these two teams. I just want to give you guys some stats right now to really help just adjust your lenses to just understand how weird this game is right now. We've had one play this stage for Skyscraper. We had a few last stage as well. Do you want to know what the current defender win rate is for Skyscraper?
I'd say it's like less than 40%.
It's 33% for this stage, and it was a little above that for the last one. So the fact that both of these teams are making huge stands on the defensive end, it almost shouldn't be happening, but it is. And it's because both of these teams clears on the offensive side. For lack of a better term, John, they're just poor. They're really poor. Both of these teams are not good at clearing out the other's utility, especially when it comes to time. And I mean, the other thing is that they just really don't know what they want. It's like they're trying to get in a relationship and they really don't know themselves just yet. It's just not really working out for them. So you're really looking for Beast Coast to try and right a lot of their wrongs when it comes to their utility pretty clear. And the big thing about that is the timing. Their indecisiveness in the early round has really punished them. So this round, we're really looking to see them try and just grab the bull by the horns and work their way through this building.
Beastcoast also seemingly really hoping for, at least coming off of their side executes, for a member of Mirage to misplay and try to peek out against the execute, and that just hasn't been happening. Mirage has been very composed with their inside play, so the kind of opening gambit that Beastcoast wants to have work out in their favor is never really happening in the first place, meaning that they're stuck, as you said, sitting back trying to figure out how to get into the site, but not really having a great plan to do so.
1 minute off the board already. We don't have a Beastcoast member near the site, near the building right now at all. Everybody on repels, trying to see if they can potentially punish a Mirage member. I do just want to remind everybody, this is barbecue downstairs and kitchen. So this top floor, yes, it is a big part of Mirage's game plan, but it's not the main focal point of it. They actually need to try and get downstairs in order to get this plant down. And Beastcoast, we're already halfway through. Tick-tock, tick-tock. The god of time does not sleep. Does Benji be able to make a new angle upstairs? No clear just yet. Waiting anything when it comes to this top stairwell. Benji with a nice angle here, more than likely aware that he'll play around this space. They're going to impact in, and he'll finally go down to serve.
Finally, Beastcoast getting a clean opening kill for themselves. No sign of a trade coming in just yet either. Surf able to get some decent damage onto Melt, so he more than likely is not going to re-challenge this angle. Kento with a potential winning one there, but is not able to find the shots properly. Still, they're wasting a good amount of time, but at the same time, Beastcoast are aware of this. They're definitely starting to get a lot more aggressive now to push the envelope into the right position for this team to be able to execute. Still, though, it looks like they're going to have to leave at least one of the upstairs players alive as they've now run out of time to clear this extension. They're going to focus up on the site play instead. Sweater getting some shots sent back at him by a player that I don't think he was aware of until a second ago, but now certainly will be because of those tracers coming through the wall. Rest of the team ready to move in, and this is that same problem here. Beastcoast haven't necessarily built up a great informational bank, so they're just kind of going for a Hail Mary play. Nyx is more than ready to stop that. That first kill will cancel the plan as they need to try and save the case, but it's just not going to happen. Melted with a third, and Marm and Kento shut down the rest of it. It's finally done. Mirage have picked up their first win of the stage against Beastcoast.
Claps all around, everybody. I'm sure you can hear me clapping through this microphone right now.
Apparently our entire production room is going off right now as well.
Yeah, I mean, man, I almost flipped my chair over. I was so excited for Mirage. You know, it's never exciting to have an entire talent pool pick against a team because you always know that everything is set against one squad. And honestly, I'm happy that Mirage proved all of us wrong here today, not only given the circumstances, but for themselves. I'm sure they've went through so many mental obstacles to get to this point and to finally deal a death blow to a team in the NAL. Well, it's just got to feel damn good, doesn't it?
It's gonna be on a map we haven't seen played too heavily inside of this stage just yet on Skyscraper, but the job is done. And primarily the indecision for Beastcoast on their attacking side cost them round after round after round again. Did not see as big of an issue for Mirage in that department. They always seem to have some kind of end game plan they could execute into, and as a result, they take more rounds there, are able to close things down in their favor in regulation as well. So a solid 3 points on the board. That'll do it for myself and Stokes this week. We're going to a quick break, ladies and gentlemen. When we come back, we've got your analysis desk ready to break the game down and close out the day.
Talking 6 a.m. tea times, 18 with the mayor talking land banks. I waited for it, gotta get mine. Snag a seat up at the table if my man can't. Heading to a meeting, we're familiar with no briefcase. Just my mind in a free state. I got a plan through a vision, but it takes time. I'ma make mine. Summertime and then wild. Summertime and then wild. You know the drill by now. Summertime and then wild. Get everything together, get the squad together, get the gang together. Summertime and then wild. Summertime and then wild. Started in the back office, now I run the front. Call the shots, make the deals, know the deal, know what's up. Too much for the books, then I put it in a tuck. Too much for the tuck, then I give it to my love. Once I make $1 million, man, $1 million won't be enough. Watch me fake the struggle while I get it off the hush. Now it's jet blue miles, Rolex dials, frowns turn to smiles. Summertime and then wild. Now as you come to an end. Summertime and then wild. And the falls upon us. I want you to bring that energy summertime and wild. And run that thing back. Yeah. Until next year. Summertime and then wild. Yeah. And wild. Summertime and then wild. Yeah. We gone. Beat by Apollo, stop at New Apollos. Cop a Henny sour, and I'm puffing Jack Sour. Yeah, I feel a black power. Yeah, this time it's really ours. It's time to get the bag. Yeah, it's time to get the bag. Yeah, yeah. Dollars coming, let me see it. Multi-million, I'm a bid. On a mission, best believe it. Ask for it, you receive it. Dollars coming, let me see it. Multi-million, I'm a bid. On a mission, best believe it. Ask for it, you receive it. Ask for it, you receive it. Got it locked, put the key in. Got them looking, yeah, they praying. She like, I like what I'm seeing. Now we up, they agreeing, play full, yeah, we eating. Now you can't ignore this feeling when you got it from him seeing. Why these B.O.D.N. You found love, why you cheating? She know that I'm never leaving. They want beef, but they vegan. I don't know why they on that. Get a pack, then I roll that. She got, tell her throw that. Start her on, it's a throwback. Just a straight roll, I don't even pay tolls. The boy a genius and I ain't talking yay though. Been a living legend since I was like a day old. I remember days though, listening to J. Cole. I remember days though, listening to Drake though. Had to up my profile, had to up my payroll. Getting too high, yeah, you know I had to lay low. Getting too fried, eating on some big dough. Yeah, I came through, and you know I had to make do. Yeah, I came through, and you know I had to make do. Getting all these dollars, yeah, you know I had to make them. Yeah, I came through.
They said it couldn't be done. They doubted, but they were all proven wrong. Mirage not eliminated. Had to change that graphic. You know, we were thinking about maybe something else was gonna happen. But you know what? If anyone can beat Beastcoast, it's definitely Mirage. We found out. You know, it's they seem to be Beastcoast kryptonite. What can you say? And I mean, beating Drip on his birthday, even. That is
it's poetic.
Insult to injury. It was a beautiful
God,
thing.
I wish we had an interview for this game just for that reason.
True.
Oh.
Yeah, true.
Love to see it. And this confirms the unanimous pick curse that exists when the coin and literally everyone else, the casters, the analysts, the fans, if they pick the same team, that team is doomed.
Yep.
It has never been more confirmed than it is right now.
Mirage not eliminated, still technically possible to go to the Berlin Major. About a 1 in 180,000 chance.
You're welcome, Jazz.
Still possible.
It is
Only
possible.
takes one.
There you go. We all picked Beastcoast. Even the coin picked Beastcoast. You at home, you picked Beastcoast as well. But Mirage believed. They believed and they got it done with a 7-5 victory on Skyscraper. There's the stats. And hey, Kento, Marm showing up like they did it. They got the win.
Yeah, it started to get a lot better for them at the end. Of course, chaining those 4 rounds together, they really started to get momentum going, and we started to see things start to work a little bit better for them. Benji Mula with the big clutch that started that off, if you remember, the 1v2. To be able to win that one on the kitchen bomb site. And then, yeah, following that up, they managed to convert. Marm, I think, had a really great time. She was able to start shutting down a lot of the aggressive plays that Beastcoast wanted to do on attack.
Yeah.
That second last round with the Ying play that she was able to stop when Surf tried to get on in was really, really nice from her. So a big game for, I think, the players that we wanted to see show up from Mirage.
I have to go back into my spreadsheet and actually put a positive map in for Mirage, which I didn't think was going to happen for this entire
it was
stage.
bound to happen
I
at
didn't
some
think it would
point.
happen, yeah.
Yeah, it was going to be fine eventually.
You happy with the fact that they went to a new map? Something that they hadn't tried before?
Well, absolutely, yeah. It worked for them. Now, the rest of the stage, there's absolutely no chance they play this again. But
Everyone will ban it again.
Nobody will take that side.
absolutely
right.
not.
I would imagine. Yeah, it looked good, and 4 round wins in a row to close that out. Like it wasn't just like super back and forth. It was decisive. But let's take a look at a couple of those rounds. We're gonna start with round number 7, and I feel like maybe this was the moment where things started to really go off the rails for Beastcoast. This mentally broke them, perhaps, because when you're kind of grenading your own team, it's a rough feeling.
See, he wasn't intending for it because this is just a well-timed drop. Finka is about to drop right here with the intent of potentially flanking back up the staircase, and then the nade from Surf bounces off the railing and immediately cuts Finka down. If you have your Finka alive at that moment, then maybe you kill the Echo, maybe you stop the Yokai from stopping Drip from getting the plant down. Maybe we can ask all those questions every single, for the rest of time. But still, that TK is what set Mirage on the right path.
It wasn't just the missed grenade. It was the fact that Sweater followed it down to the lower floor too. He just happened to be hopping down at that exact moment. It was rough.
I think with this round too, Mirage was in a 3v5, and they got a kill on a slash. They get the TK, but they're not all trying to aggress. They're clearly waiting for Marm to use the Echo drone, and that ended up being what allowed them to win the round. So.
Yeah, exactly. Well, let's look at another round here, and we're going to go right to the last one. We're going to go to the round that gave Mirage the victory, and honestly, as the map went on, I felt like the rounds did get tighter for Mirage, and they were looking comfortable towards the end.
Yeah, this was a round that I actually thought was pretty solid from them. I mean, they had a player roaming up above inside of Karaoke, was able to deny the wall to get into Barbecue, so it was a really great play to stop that from above. Ultimately, they do clear him out, but then in round number 10, this one is, they managed to get on forward and get this kit down, help out the team a little bit more to plants here. This was the...
the 1v?
No, this is not the 1v1 for Sweater. This is just the round where Sweater's not able to pull it back in the 1v4.
But look at this, Mirage is doing a really great job here of stalling for time. I think that execute was coming down in the last 30 seconds or so. And again, Beastcoast is a team that is very execute forward.
Right.
So they're trying to get the bomb down a lot faster and earlier in the round, but they couldn't in the last 20 seconds.
Yeah, fair enough. That's one of those rounds that, again, it was right in the middle of that streak that was just screwing things over. And that was the one that they called attack timeout on afterwards. That attack timeout did not accomplish anything for Mark.
It didn't do jack.
No.
Well, what a way to end the week. It was comedy of errors at time, but it was really great to see Mirage get the win. And Beastcoast, I don't even know where you go from here, man. I mean, you still got a chance to make it to the major. They're still in the running, but
I'm curious what the standings look like now. Just
kryptonite. Well,